channel, folks, and today we're going to be taking a look at the world of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. More specifically, the aftermath of Godzilla 2014, and what we might be seeing in the film's sequel, the MUTOs. So Godzilla 2014 featured these two gigantic creatures which were created by Legendary due to a rights issue. They knew that they had to create some creatures because they didn't have the rights for anything else at that point, or they weren't due to be implementing the creatures they had the rights for at that point in time. So what they did was they created the massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, or the MUTOs for short. You would have remembered them, almost praying mantis, bat kind of creatures, I guess. They were the opponents of the King of the Monsters, Godzilla, and he destroyed them in the most glorious of ways, genuinely. So the male MUTO would be the first to get the atomic breath absolutely blasted at him in a continuous streak until the male MUTO would be pushed up against the building, and then that's where he would meet his end. And the female MUTO, well, Jesus Christ, she deserved nothing less than the iconic atomic breath blasted down her throat, ripping her apart from the inside and then decapitating her. So what exactly happened between films and what happened to the MUTO's bodies? This is something which is quite interesting to explore because in the Tokyo Comic-Con teaser for Godzilla King of the Monsters, second trailer, so it was a trailer for another trailer, we were teased with an awesome sight. A giant kaiju head of some description at what can presume to be a Monarch facility where they were studying it. So the head itself resembles the female MUTO, which would make an awful lot of sense considering we know that she was decapitated, but there is also another option that it could be the kaiju that is going to be seen in the official prequel comic, Godzilla Aftershock. However, I do believe that that is unlikely, and I'll kind of explore that a little bit more during this video. So the likely thing here for me is that it is definitely the MUTO head taken to be studied. So there are also some theories that it's not Monarch that are studying this, and it's actually the antagonist group that we're going to see in this movie, the antagonist human group, the eco-terrorists. But again, I'm going to get towards that towards the end of this video, and it's just a theory at this point in time, but I'm going to talk about discrediting it, I guess. So let's explore all of these possibilities for a bit of fun on the lead up to the film's release, because hey, the hype train is still moving. First things first, let's discount the theory that this will be the kaiju from the prequel coming out. So the reason for this is, well, movies. It's likely that they would want to tie the films together, give the audiences a little nod to the previous film, plus if they have something that was exclusively in a comic, it's going to confuse a lot of people unless they give a whole bunch of needless exposition, but that would spoil the flow of the film, and it's just incredibly unlikely. Got to remember, there has been 5 years between movies. We've only seen Kong in between, so we need something to sort of gel the universe together just that little bit more, make people go, I remember them, cool, that's from the first film, let's go. Because of course we all know it, but some other people don't. They don't know that this will be a sequel. That's how the general audiences actually do work. They do rely on visual cues here and there. I'm not saying that everyone's an idiot, but a lot of people just don't follow stuff like we do. And as far as I'm aware, in any of the marketing, they haven't said this is a sequel. So again, some people will genuinely be confused, and I know that sounds dumb, but it is just the case. Also, we can pretty much discredit it being the male MUTO because the face just isn't similar enough. Not to mention that, but the male MUTO was smashed into buildings in the city, so just from a logistical approach needed to get the head, it would have been absolutely enormous. A creature that large couldn't have just been carried away. It's impossible. And it's also something that we see in the real world now. Obviously, things just can't be carried away. Whales, for instance. But also not just that, this thing is now dead. The weight of this creature on itself, because it's not supporting itself, the body would likely just be crushed under its own weight. And so it would be destroyed there anyway, so no one could take it away. Which leads to the higher likelihood that Monarch, or the government, entered into a massive operation during this time and just set about chopping up the male MUTO's body and discarding it. And of course, studying bits and pieces that they could and destroying the rest, likely by incineration. So we can all but confirm, as we've explored any of this anyway, that it is the female MUTO. Her head was already off. The logistics for acquiring her head would have been far easier due to the fact that it was in the water. So there is ease of access right there. The transportation of the MUTO head would only need a few boats and then potentially like an airlift. It's definitely nowhere near as difficult as pulling something off of the ground rather than pulling it off the water. There's a little bit more of an ease there. However, the work would have had to have been swift. They couldn't have waited, otherwise the head would rot, enter into a water rot state and become bloated. The ability to study it would have been pretty much non-existent at that point. So it's really likely that they didn't recover the body for several reasons: size, weight, logistics. The weight of the body would likely have caused it to sink, as it would have been sat there in the water for some time. So again, it's unlikely that they would have had the body if that was the case. Obviously, if they could have recovered the body, there's probably more to study in the body than just the head, but I believe it to be unlikely. Although, obviously, I'm open to the idea that they could have as well. Now, the location of the MUTO looks to be the same location that's now been set up surrounding King Ghidorah in Antarctica. So just the main reason for that is all visual, so there's a blue glow, but also we can look at the logistical conclusion and probably assume that it's going to be the same place. Why would they take it there? Well, it's cold storage. It would preserve the MUTO head for a prolonged period of study. So it's more than likely that this is the case. Of course, I could be completely wrong here, but if you're just looking at likelihoods and logic and things like that, it's highly likely just due to what I've listed. Now, there is another possibility that this is the antagonist group, the eco-terrorists led by Charles Dance's character, which we know will be playing a very important role in this movie, believing that the extinction event is actually a living one brought on by these creatures that we see, the Titans, the alpha predators. This is their aim, basically, to cull off the human population and save the world, essentially. Now, what we can discern from all of that is that they may have captured the head to study, to learn, to potentially link the biology of each of the kaiju and use that knowledge to then track down more of them, I guess, before Monarch does. Although I will say this, I highly doubt that they would approach this as a weaponized angle. It just doesn't seem plausible to me. I don't think you can weaponize these creatures in that way. But a capture of the head and study, yeah, I can actually see that's plausible. I believe that it's something that could happen. So, what happened to the MUTOs after Godzilla? Well, this is all a theory, but from what we have been shown, it would seem that Monarch, or the terrorists, have captured the head of the female MUTO and began studying it, learning from it. And maybe that's why we see in the trailer that they are at a hearing, talking about the Titans, the tip of the iceberg. Maybe they've taken their findings to this hearing, and that's why this is all happening. That's why this has started anyway. Now, with respect to the bodies, male MUTO destroyed, I believe, studied a little bit, but destroyed primarily. The female MUTO's body probably sank or just became food and again was just destroyed, who knows. But that's what I believe has happened to the MUTOs at the end of Godzilla 2014. I do want to hear your thoughts though. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. As always, if you are new here, please do hit that subscribe button. Stay up to date on all the world of pop culture and movie news. And as always guys, if you like this video, give it a like and a share. I've been Mr. H. Take care.